All right, this is Trevor Crane, and we're on for Sales Mastery on May 13th. And we've got a few people on the call right now, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully everybody's had a great week. And what I love best about this is that we get to touch base. You get to go ahead and learn something, make some application, apply some stuff, come back and ask questions. So like we're going to do on each of our calls, I'd like to start off with some celebrations of anything that has happened in the last week since we've spoken last that you're proud of, or you feel like you applied, or something that you learned. And we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but it's a very important part of our progress to just make sure that we're recognizing, what's going on. So first of all, it's celebrations, and please let's focus on that before we get to any challenges that you're having. So who would like to go first?
Well, I'll go first since nobody else is volunteering. It's Sandy, and I'm going to celebrate having had something of a revelation about the various problems that I have in my business this week, specifically last night and also earlier in the week. So I feel like understanding where I'm uncomfortable is going to be a huge step forward, because then I can address it. And that's a big celebration for me.
Understanding where you are uncomfortable. So what does that mean specifically?
My various understandings about how to deal with money, how to deal with working, how to deal with, all of these things are new for me and therefore not part of my comfortable rut. And they're going to lead to change. Change is automatically good in a context of business, for me at any rate. And so I'm celebrating having found things that I'm uncomfortable about and having accepted them and having started working on ways of moving on and taking the next step to organize my life, to figure out what it is that I need to do in order to earn money, to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so let me reframe that, because you and I had, I want to share with everyone that Sandy sent me an email with some of her progress and some of also her concerns. And then we had a brief conversation today. I had some extra time and we spoke. And here's what was powerful about our conversation earlier today is that, and first of all, thank you, Sandy. I know I'm only sharing this with everybody. Let me just make sure I've got your,
okay,
is it okay if I
share anything? I don't care.
I knew that was the case with you, but I just wanted to be sure. Here's what is great about Sandy is today her conversation with me was that she realized that what she's doing is not working, basically. And we talked about her, that oftentimes when we make progress, we need to give ourselves permission to succeed at the level that we want to succeed. That it's okay to win, it's okay to succeed. And oftentimes when Robin and I are working with people, we're just trying to help them do that. And one of the things that can be discouraging is that on the way to success in anything are the failures and the crashes. And sometimes when we are scared to move forward, it's like we also need to, oftentimes I want to help people just give them permission to fail as well. Because It's not like many of us will go out and do it perfectly every time. In fact, the course of oftentimes when I work with people one-on-one, it's for a length of time, like a minimum of 6 months, because I know that the course you go down, and as we're talking about sales, this is just about the conversation you have with people to give them permission to say yes, and to learn how to make that happen. You're not going to do it perfectly every time. And so it's also what Sandy did great at today was kind of that second part of success is fail or recognize that something's not working. And everybody's here because they know that they need to do more and, and change your approach. But it was just pretty awesome to realize and very powerful to say, hold on, I got to dramatically shift things, and it is urgent, urgent, urgent. So huge realization, and thank you for sharing that, because I think it's powerful. Everybody has permission to succeed, but you've also got to be willing to allow yourself to make mistakes and fail, or you wouldn't.
You're not actually making any progress at all if you aren't trying stuff that's new. And if you do stuff that's new, you're bound to fail at it at some point. And the stuff that you were doing before, if it had all been successful, none of us would be here on this line. So obviously we all feel that we need to learn how to do things better. And I really appreciate, I'm excited to figure out what I'm not doing well.
It's awesome. So congratulations. That's huge. Let's do this. Let's take one more share, and then everybody, since we don't want to go around and take up a lot of today's call, we want to get into some specifics. I want to coach with you directly about scripting some of these things out for your sales mastery. The question was asked of whether or not you needed another handout for today, and the answer is no. The handout that I gave you last time for the Sales Mastery Boot Camp is going to be the handout number 2 is all you'll need. It's this one here. If you're looking at the screen, we started off with, or was it, stages of the sale and the ultimate sales formula. We're going to work on some of this stuff today. So as the next person shares, everyone else just think of something you can be proud of and at least jot it down for yourself that it is your celebration for the last week. Who would like to share? Jeanette or Marie Papp, would one of you like to? And Marie Papp, I think Robin told me last time I should stop calling you Marie Papp. She's like, that's her last name, just call her Marie. So.
Okay, I can say something. Let's see. Kind of agree with, was it Sandra?
Yep.
Yeah, you come to a point where you find out you've got to change how you're doing some of this stuff. But I'd say I would celebrate, I did a pretty good newsletter offer, and I had quite a bit of response to that, so that was good. Still need to make more money, but it was definitely like, okay, this is a good start. So that was good, and then today we sat down and did a lot of strategizing for the next month, so that's kind of exciting. Strategize and implement how we're going to approach the rest of the marketing for the month. So, which also, obviously entails sales. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. That's great.
Thanks.
And have you done a newsletter like that before that's generated, is this new for you, or is that something that you've done in the past?
First time. I did something else before, but I would say this is really the first time. So, and if all these people really book, it would be like $2,500. So that's pretty good. Not bad.
That is awesome. What is your email address again? I think you sent that to me, didn't you? Did I see that newsletter?
I'll send it to you if you want.
Yeah, would you mind? Because I thought I may have
Sure.
looked at. Yeah, send it to me because I would love to see what you did that's working.
Okay.
And maybe we can when we talk today. So hold on. You had some feedback then. You had emails. Did you have email responses or calls, or what happened?
Emails. Basically what happened, I went to probably at least 1,600 or 1,800 people, I'm not sure, but the most response really came from the pool of people who I did work with in the past 2 years, and it was just so kind of timely. They were like, oh, wow, I've been meaning to call you, and bam, there's the newsletter. And literally within 2 minutes of that newsletter being sent, it was like, wow, all of a sudden the responses started coming in. Boom,
wow.
boom. I was like, holy cow. I think all in all I had like 12 people to get back to, and I pretty much seemed like I'm booking almost all of them. Almost. Seriously, like maybe one didn't or whatever, or two, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is small potatoes. This of all the lines of my business, this is the little ones, But I'd like to build this business, and you have to kind of get more volume. So what we did was it was heavily strategized. It was a series of 3 blog posts explaining specific things, why you need this headshot, what makes a good headshot, and then it was like an online dating makeover thing, and then we offered a 10%. You had 1 week to act on this 10%, call to action 10%. Use the coupon, blah, 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 give me a call. So that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be doing more of these, so because I have
awesome.
2 other product lines. So yeah, that was just like, oh my gosh, it's really like, it was something I had been meaning to do for years, and you just never get around to do it, and now it's like, okay, we've got to have a database, and we've got to do this, regularly be in front of people, because I've had clients for 13 years. Just think of all the stuff I could have been doing before, but I was too busy with all my other work, So, so yeah, that's where we're at with that.
Okay, so thank you for that. So let me go into that. If I can I use you as a guinea pig for this part of the content today?
Sure. Okay.
Okay. And I want to also capture any challenges that anyone has, but I want to make sure that we're going over the handouts as well. And Athena, I know you're new on today's call. You and I have been meeting lately, and you're probably looking for this handout. Why don't you just follow along on the computer right now? I'll make sure that you get it, and you get the login information for a membership site. I apologize I haven't sent it to you yet, but I'll make sure I correct that. And depending on how cool I am with technology today, I may send it to you so that you've got it and you can print it out. If you guys look at your handout on page 14, if you look at the screen right now, you'll see filling the pipeline. And I want to just talk with you really briefly about, like, when we're talking about sales mastery, okay, hold on. Filling your pipeline. Your business basically breaks down into leads, sales, and fulfillment. These are the 3 parts of almost any business. And leads generally, I think we touched on this before, but this is your marketing, by the way. This is like getting people to call. What are you doing to actually capture those leads and build the list in the first place? Now, sales is your communication, like when somebody calls you up, like you just said, you had about 12 people that just booked with you. This is some of the stuff we're going to cover is like, what can you do to do all of these things? Like, what are your strategies and techniques, and what do you say once you get somebody to call? What do you say? Now, fulfilling on your promise, all of you guys are great at, or we wouldn't, not that we can't all get better, but that's basically the delivery on your promise. So the core of this program is about sales. Like, what do you say once you get somebody to call? But it's also the greater part of, like, looking at what you have to sell and how you can sell more, or how you can charge more, or how do you repackage what you have so that when you make one sale, it moves into the next, it moves into the next, and so forth. So with the newsletter that you sent out, whether or not you look at that as though, it sounds like you sent that to mostly your existing client list and whatnot.
Actually,
but then no, you didn't. Okay, go ahead.
Well, no, the smallest portion of it was my client list. A lot of other stuff was from other, just other lists that I sort of like accumulated. I wouldn't say the majority were not my clients, and I'm just thinking, wow, if the majority were, just think because they've had experience with me, just think, wow, how many more you maybe sell,
Okay, brilliant. So now I misunderstood you now how many people of the 12 people that booked you or that emailed you back and you set appointments with quickly, how many of them were previous clients out of the 12?
I think 11. Well, no, wait.
Got it.
10, or let's just say 10.
Got it. So, and then out of the 1,600 or 1,800 emails, then how many people out of the 1,600 were on your list? Your that had been
my clients,
rather than cold,
whatever. Honestly, maybe 200 or less than 300. I don't know, somewhere around 200 to 300. Not that many. Okay,
so let's look at it this way then. Let's say that you had 200 go out and you had 10. So 200 newsletters went out to your old clients, or to 200 clients, right? Ballpark. I'm just being ballpark here.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then, because, I mean, you don't have all people open your emails and all of that jazz, but then you had basically 5% of the people, which is 10, call you and immediately book or email you and immediately book. So when you've got a newsletter going to someone who's hired you before, or at least, is on that short list, you've got a 5% return rate. Are you with me?
I think I got 20% return. No, you sure? 200 people, 10 people? I don't know. Or maybe it is.
10% would be 20, right?
Got
10%
it. Okay,
of 200 would be 20?
5%. Okay, you got it. Mm-hmm.
And so 5%. So that's really important for you, because that was you communicating to your existing clientele, and I don't know exactly where that really falls, whether or not you consider that to be, the generation of new leads. I would think not. It is really the communication with your existing, base, which is why it's so powerful to get a client in any way, shape, or form and then communicate with them regularly, because that was totally powerful. The other 1,400-ish people that it went out to, you only got 2 that called back for an appointment. So that tells you about the effectiveness of your message if they didn't know of you already. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
Okay. So, and it's just an observation. That doesn't mean that it's good, bad, or anything. You just want to look at that and say, okay, now how can I improve it next time so that I can, get the people that have never heard of me before to call, and that's the magic of marketing. Now, in this section, we're not really going to talk about that. You always want to just look at it and measure what's real, but we're going to talk about now the stages of the sale again. So this is the contact like we had talked about last time, where your initial point of contact is when you first meet someone. Then the stage of the sale might be setting an appointment with them, and you go through a series of appointments. We might start off with a cup of coffee, where you have some kind of conversation, and where you get to know someone. Then they become a client, or they at least take on the client, conversation, which is where you have a strategy session with them. And then at the end of that strategy session, they either become a client or they're your next appointment. Now, this list that this went out to then are basically and even after they become a client, you've got ongoing communication really is the next piece, because that was really powerful for you. Mm-hmm. Is just telling them, hey, I exist and there's an offer. They said, we'll hire you. And maybe mixing that up is a really good way to, whether you do that monthly or you a variety of things, that's really key. There's another key thing here is this ongoing communication is like the next stage, but it's also about your next offer, okay? Mm-hmm. Because as you have this is an opportunity for you to make more money. You said you sent one newsletter, and if everybody keeps their appointment, you'll have generated $2,500 out of this, which is not everything in the world, but it's certainly not peanuts. That's a lot of money. But here's the thing: is what are you selling next? So do you know what your upsell is into this? Because this is about sales mastery. Like when you're meeting with the client and they're buying, what are you selling them next?
Well, they could book a longer session with more looks, or they could purchase additional files. It's not like a big kind of a sale, honestly, because this is like a headshot. But what we are going to do later on this week, we're going to actually send it out all over again. I'm going to add some more of my old clients, and we're going to go. This offer has been extended through the month.
Brilliant. Now, here's what I would do. You want to, I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
Then we're going to do another thing, which we're going to set up maybe Mondays from 12 to 5. This is making this really inexpensive. It'll be like a volume generator kind of a thing. I'm just trying to test it out. It's like this is like express kind of a thing where it's 15 minutes and it's $99. It's like kind of, and then from there, if they want more, then every little thing is extra. Okay, that's because of the other. So the people who are like, oh wow, I can't spend that much, to get them in there. That we're going to do probably at the end of the month. After this little other 10% offer goes, to let them know that on whatever, one day a week, so many hours, I'm available to do these quick, somebody wants whatever, it could, Facebook or LinkedIn, it's just a quick headshot kind of thing, to sort of build up volume and see what happens,
Okay, so here's your homework then, because this is about sales mastery. So we're trying to figure out how you can improve your sales. So this is about being clear, like this little template that I'm writing on here as we go on, like maybe you're considering your next offer. This is one area that has been, like if I'm working with somebody personally over time and we get to work with each other, I typically like to work with someone for a minimum of 6 months. What I work with from the very first day to whatever, the last day, is what is your communication? Like at what points do you communicate with people? Because every point of communication is another opportunity to influence them to do something. And you always want to know what you want them to do. This little diagram is asking you or giving you a template of where you can be clear so that you're giving that example of the $97 offer, or whether you make a 99-cent offer, or you're going to go out and shoot their headshot. Fine? So what I would want you to do is think, okay, if you're looking at the screen, you would say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and deliver them a headshot. Okay, so that's awesome. At the headshot, what's next? What do you want them to do? Now, it does not mean that you need to make them an offer, because that might not be appropriate in all contexts. But you really want to know what you want for them. Like if I go to McDonald's right now, I'm guessing that if I make an order, they've trained, this billion-dollar company has trained their teenagers or senior citizens, whoever's working there, I'm not sure, to go ahead and ask me for the upsell. Would I like to make it supersized? Would I like an ice cream sandwich with it? Whatever. And they're scripted to do it every time. Now, they may not do it every time, but I'm sure there's some kind of quality control that reminds people, hey, you're supposed to ask, would you like fries with that? What is your would you like fries with that thing? Because here's the tendency. You're a photographer. And they hired you for a headshot. So you'll go out and you'll shoot a great headshot, and then you'll leave. And you won't tell them to do anything else ever again. I mean, and here's your missed opportunity, a phenomenal missed opportunity to just tell them to do something. It could be go to like your Facebook page because you're going to give something else away. It could be to, we have this super duper thing, I'm doing nude photography. I don't know what it is, but what is next? So whatever you're communicating with someone, you just want to think several more steps down the line at any point. So headshot is obviously specific to your business, but it's for everybody to consider. Every point of communication is an opportunity to get somebody to do something. So you need to decide what it is, because I promise you, if you don't decide, they won't. They don't know what to do. Like when I hire my plumber to come in and fix the leak. Right. But they should really be thinking about when they come to fix my leak, see, I trust that the leak will be fixed. Or I wouldn't have hired the plumber in the first place. But what they should be thinking about is what else do they want me to do next? Because they could get me to do freaking just about anything if they would just decide ahead of time that they want to do it. Okay. And I'll give you an example. My wife bought me a birthday present. She bought me a Groupon offer for me to go fly an airplane because I want to become a pilot. And so I went out for my initial lesson, and I actually want to go to flight school. Like I want to be sold this. And I tried to figure it out so that I could buy it. But by the end of the time I left there, I didn't buy anything. And I was unhappy because I wanted to be sold, and they didn't sell me anything. I mean, they told me that I could spend like a lot of money, like $30,000 or $50,000 or whatever. And it was like too big of a chunk. I just couldn't do it. But the thing was I was disappointed because they didn't just give me something that was a bite-sized piece on the next of what was next. They didn't give me a couple of different options. It was like either pay a fortune and commit to all this stuff that I was not prepared to do, instead of giving me A, B, and C. Which would I like? They've got 3 offers here. Which would you like? All they did was run a Groupon thing, and they got me in for my one discount flight, and then I left. That was it. They were horrible piss poor offer. And I was so disappointed, even angry at them, and decided I would not go back to them. And even if I had the chance, I wouldn't. I was insulted that they didn't read my mind and give me something that I could buy. Isn't that crazy? They probably were thinking they didn't want to be too salesy or something. And I was disappointed, angry even, and decided I won't use them again.
They need to be in this class.
Oh, excuse me. Hi,
I would think so.
Yeah.
What was that?
I'm sorry. Hi, it's Irene. I'm sorry I'm late.
Hi, Irene.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for telling me that you're here.
I'm sorry. I picked up my husband from the thing and got completely lost track of time. Started cooking all of a sudden.
No
oh
problem.
my God.
Well, thank you for being here. We have how long have you been on the line?
Oh, just a minute or so.
Okay, just a minute or so. Okay, so what we covered so far were a couple of celebrations around progress that has happened, since our last call. And then Marie was sharing, if you're looking at the screen, Irene, are you able to see the screen?
No, I don't. What's the link for the screen? Because I don't know what it is.
Okay, I had just sent out an email to this, so you can use that or go to importantfreewebinar.com, and you'll get the link. And by the way, Athena, if you refresh your screen, let me go ahead and do this real quickly. I'll share my screen. I just posted on. Can you guys see my Facebook? My Important Free Webinar screen now?
I'm not there yet, but I will get there.
Marie, can you see my screen?
Yes, I see it. Mm-hmm.
I see it too.
So if you guys refresh if you don't have the handout, which was the Module 2, you can go to Meeting Resources here at the base, and I put the file on there. You can just click on here and download the file. So Athena, this will be valuable for you, or if anybody else needs that. And actually, I'll upload the other. Did you get that, Athena?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think you were the only one missing it. I'll email you the other PDF as you need it, but that'll help you follow along for right now. So let's go back to Marie real quickly, because this is, the great thing about having a small class like this and having a variety of you interact with us on the calls, which I think is going to be really a valuable part of this, is I just want to help you sculpt this out so that you can. This is a framework that you can keep coming to and using, but is that a valuable, does that help you, Marie, that you consider use this as the next, you're always thinking about what's next on the point of communication. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I was thinking what I could do is, you could ask them, a lot of these people work at a corporation or a business, you could say, well, hey, do you know of anybody who would really like to take advantage of this special? That's one thing. But that doesn't really upsell, but you're kind of asking either for a referral or for them to, tell their friends about it. Or the other thing would be, hey, think about doing a family portrait, something like that.
You got it. So this can be, we're going to go ahead, I'm going to show you some more things on this for handouts then. Let's go to the 3 rules of referrals, which is page 12 of page 15. And so what you're talking about, or basically I'll teach this section right now. And by the way, Robin will not be joining us today. She just flew to Australia, and so she's either still on an airplane or just landed or something in the last 24 hours. I don't know how much. She had 20, 30 hours of transit, so she's on her way. And she'll be joining us, on some of the future calls we have. But so it'll just be me, so you get great, awesome Trevor instead of great, awesome Robin and Trevor.
That's all right. We like you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I feel so special that I'm with all you ladies on the call. That I'm in touch with my feminine side at least a little bit to be able to handle that. So on the 3 rules of referrals, though, I want to give this, Marie, I'm going to just keep talking with you if that's okay. I haven't shared this yet with you, have I?
Nope.
Okay.
Trevor, I'm having a hard time opening this. Under Meeting Resources, it just won't open.
There's three buttons here. One of them has you can open this tab in a new window. And then you can open it or just save it. Do you see that on my screen?
No, I see download and print. I can't click on. Nothing's not clicking through. None of the three. And then meeting resources. I see the document there. It won't click.
Do you see my screen where it turns red? And then you see those three things? Like all I do is just click one of those and it just automatically starts.
I don't know. I don't see anything red here. I'm joining the meeting or rejoining the meeting.
Like right at meeting resources, if you put your mouse over it just to the right, you can see like some buttons.
Right. And if
the
I
other
click on
place,
that,
can you click on that? That's not working. The other one is to go to our website. Excuse me. Have you logged into the membership site?
the Facebook page?
Not the Facebook page, but we sent out. Let me change the screen. Are you looking? Look at my screen right now. Have you logged on to the Sales Mastery membership website?
No. Can you just give me that now?
I would love to. Give me just a second. I got to find that link. I think it's just salesmastery.kajabi.com, but I might be mistaken because there was a special link to
Kajabi?
the KAJABI.com. Let's see here. I have to check my email for it.
And is there a special password? Because I don't think I've been on this before.
You need to create your password for the first time. So there's a link I can send you. I apologize. Robin sent this out. Is anybody else logged on to the Sales Mastery site?
Not yet. I'm trying it right now.
Right.
Doesn't say create an identity. Maybe I did this once before. I don't even know.
I see it. Audio recordings, I see the thing.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the link to the website. So give me just a second. If you go back to importantfreewebinar.com, I'm going to put the link on there.
Importantfreewebinar.com.
Yep, go to importantfreewebinar.com.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Oops. There we go. Refresh your page. And it should have this membership site link. And if you click that link, it should take you to the place where you would create your initial their sign up now.
Okay.
Let's see if I have that. Let's see.
So right under membership meeting resources. And Athena, you can use this as well. This is what I was going to send you. So just refresh your wall on an important free webinar. Then it should take, when you click this membership site link, you should open up a page like this. You can go ahead and inside that portal, it will look like this. And you'll be able to see all the program modules.
I'm in.
And in the program modules, you can, if you click on Module 1 or Module 2, you'll get the recording of the webinar. You'll get the handout on the page. And you can watch the webinar right there on the website. The Q&A calls will also, we only had one Q&A call that we did the other day. And then we've got the audio recordings if you want to just listen to the audio rather than watch the webinar. By the way, all the bonus content is here as well. If you guys are seeing this for the first time, I'll just take the time here. So the coaching questionnaire, the Shake Your Moneymaker videos, and then the networking mastery links, these are right here in bonus content.
Shoot,
Right.
I'm not able to get into this thing unless I start. It wants your name and email. Huh.
So let's do this. I want to make sure we use this time to, I can handle logistics on this later, so let's make sure that I just want to make sure we get to the more of the content. I don't want that to slow us down. So let's go back to this. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So let's go to the 3 rules of referrals. So here's the key, Marie. You nailed it on. You want to go ahead and have a time that you ask for referrals. So here's the thing. Everybody knows that they should be asking for referrals, and I ask companies all the time whether or not they have a referral program, and sometimes they will. They'll say, oh, yeah, we give a 20% off if anybody gives us a referral. And sometimes they'll get very proud of it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, great, how many clients have you gotten from that? And sometimes they have some, and that's great because oftentimes some of our best clients come through referrals. But more times than not, people do not have a systematic approach for the use of referrals. So here's the thing about referrals. In order for them to work, this is the first rule, always ask. So go ahead and add that to your sheet. Now, always ask doesn't mean you ask every time you talk to a client because that would be inappropriate and piss them off. But you want to have an approach that you always ask at some point. Like for me, I always ask at a high time, at a high point in their experience. So if they are a raving fan, when they have a really great result, I'm going to ask for referrals. Also, when we're at our seminars, we ask for referrals. So we have a point, and I don't do it every single time. Notice that we've had 2 or 3 calls with you guys, and I don't know that we've asked for referrals yet. But we have a point in time where you ask. And so, Marie, you definitely want that as part of your system where you always ask. Now, you could put it on your newsletter, for example. But here's what you want to do is you want to measure your result. Because if you just throw it on there as a, and it doesn't work. Like I have a friend of mine who was a client for 6 months or more, and he was very proud of his referral program, but it didn't get him any clients. And his employees never told anybody about it. Well, that's not a very effective referral program. You want to have one that works. So just make sure on this always ask, you have a certain time in the lifetime of your client that you ask, and maybe you ask consistently. The second thing is you always want to ask for ask for 3. And I actually will ask for 5. And one of the reasons why you always want to ask for more than 1 is that if you ask for 3 or if you ask for 5 and we actually have a referral, you know what? Would you guys like me to share our referral form with you, or we actually would that be valuable so that you can see what we use? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to write a note of that. I'm not going to do that right now, but I'll send you as a link the referral form. I'll put it up on
in the bonus area.
I'll put it in the bonus area. Thank you, Sandy. So I'll put the referral form that we use in the bonus area. And one of the things is, like, I'll give you an example. My wife and I were planning for a wedding, and I didn't know who to invite. And at first I started off, my list was really small. I invited my family and then, like, a couple of friends. And then all of a sudden, blah, blah, blah. It grew. But at first I pulled out a blank piece of paper, and I was just like, I don't know who to invite to our wedding. Now, my wife had no problem. She had a list of hundreds of people, right? But my list was very slow in starting, but then it got cooking. So here's another reason why you want to ask for 3 or ask for 5 is that if you ask for 3 or ask for 5 and they don't meet that result for you, that's okay. But they'll probably throw you a bone and give you 1. But if you only ask for 1 referral, you're kind of like giving them an ultimatum. But if you ask for 3 or 5, and if you want to measure the result, like if you're not getting referrals, then it's not a good referral program. You might be missing the third piece of this on the rules of referrals, and this is give a gift. So what we did when we taught our seminar is we went ahead and gave away something. I think we taught the 3 rules of referrals. We gave them a series of examples of like how you can give different gifts away. And so you know what I'll do too? Let me put this on my thing. I'll also give you an example of free gifts because I've met with many people, and I, they're like, oh, I can't afford to give people gifts. But what we did is we gave away 2 or 3 gifts. We gave everybody a piece of chocolate, that day. Like they came back from a break, and we gave them a piece of chocolate. We then gave them $1, a silver dollar, before they left the room, because we gave them a membership to like some product that some technology that I use. Like for our instant customer technology, we said, look, we'll give you a free membership to that. It actually will cost you $1, but I want to buy it for you. I'm not trying to get your business. I'm just trying to give you a gift. So we gave them a cool gift. You could give a gift of like anything. Just you want to give a gift because it incentivizes them to give back to you, because it's a sense of, it's the law of reciprocity. So the 3 rules of referrals is always ask, at least at a certain point, always ask for more than 1, 3, 5, something like that. I'll share with you my form. And then number 3 is always give a gift. And they get the gift, in my opinion, you want to give it regardless of whether or not they give you the referral. Because it kind of feels like horse trading if you say, I'll give you this gift if you give me a referral. I mean, you can choose. There's not really a right or a wrong way. But I like to just give for the sake of giving, and then you ask. And here's the thing, is that if you tell people, hey, can you give me a referral, and you hang up or you leave, you probably won't get the referral. I mean, you really want to get it right now in the moment, a name, phone number, email. And you have a responsibility, by the way, if you get a referral, your job, and here's the thing is, Robin and I will say, people are freaky deaky about money, what they charge, or whether or not they're feeling sold or feeling like they're salesy. People who just are freaky deaky. But I'll tell you what, people are also really freaky deaky about referrals. I mean, totally. There's all kinds of stuff that comes up about, oh my God, I need to call them first just to make sure. I could never refer you to anybody. And all this stuff comes up. So you got to figure out the magic to that, and it's going to be unique to each of your businesses. And right now, you just want to acknowledge the fact that they're going to be freaky deaky, and that's okay. So you got to remember that your job, if you ever get the gift of a referral, is to make the person who gave you the referral look good. Like really, who cares whether or not the person ever becomes your client that you're talking to? You should make the person who gave you the referral look like a rock star. Just make sure that you don't, that you just completely treat them in an awesome, awesome way. And that's, by the way, that's one of the things I use to overcome the freaky deakiness about referrals. Because some people will just give them up and other people are freaky deaky. So I will tell them before I ever ask, I will tell them how I treat people if I ever get a referral. And my job is to make them look good, and and I'll be more specific than that. So what I'd recommend you guys do as homework is write down some ideas about what gifts you could give away, about what things you could give away that are free or cost very little. I just gave you a few examples. I will email you some examples that I've had other people come up with. I think I've got a short list of 10 or 12 I'll give you. But then I'd also like to ask, Marie, since you and I are going back and forth, let me ask you if you have any challenges personally about giving referrals to someone, because this is a really important part, is if any of you have a challenge giving referrals to somebody else, whatever your freaky deakiness is about referrals, I can pretty much promise you that will show up in your clients. You'll just get that mirror example back from your clients. So it's important for you to jot down anything that makes you uncomfortable about giving a referral, so that you can go ahead and try to overcome that, or think about what would have to happen in order for you to feel comfortable giving one, because then you can ask in that context. So Marie, would you like to, is there anything that you have in regards to challenges?
Well, one of mine is, it's actually the other way, which is I've asked people for referrals and they're like, well, let me think about it, or you know what I'm saying. They don't always give you they rarely ever want to give you the name. They're like, if something comes up, I'll let you know, kind of thing. That's what I get. I get that. It's rarely rare because, I'll give them some postcards and say, hey, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you specifically verbally ask for the 3 referrals? What do you do? How do you say? What do you exactly do? And then sometimes people, they tell you they'll get back to you and they never do. So Yeah.
So that's an example of a referral program that's not working. So good job. Thank you very much. That's what not to do, and now you're trying to figure it out. I'm looking for my form right now that I can just pull up for you on the screen. My referral sheet. I thought I have it here. Okay, so here's what I do. I can't find it, but referral. Okay. I basically have a piece of paper. So when I'm meeting somebody face to face, I hand them a piece of paper, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're looking at the screen right now, I'm kind of making it up as I go along. It just says at the top of it says referrals. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I don't have these blanks on here. It just has referral 1, and it has a place for their name, their phone number, and their email on the sheet. And then at the bottom, you'll see this when I send it to you. At the bottom, there's a place for them to sign. If they don't want to give me a referral, they sign it. And what I do as far as what I'll do, like in the seminar context, I will talk to them about the value of referrals. This is unfair because you wouldn't do this in the context. So let me see how I would do it. I don't want to teach you about the seminar. That's not appropriate because you're not going to do that. How do I really say it and really use it when I don't do it at the seminar?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's how I do it.
I know that too. Go ahead.
So I basically, I like to use tools, okay? So let me define what tools are. Tools to me are anything that helps you do the job faster, better, and easier. So like a screwdriver and a hammer and a saw all have their exact, they're all helpful at the right time. So in this case, a tool for me is a piece of paper that will help support me to get the job done more easily. Because I know one of the challenges of meeting somebody face-to-face is where are they going to write it down. So in the case of using a piece of paper that's a formal referral form is that I will ask for a referral, and what I'll do is I'll start off by giving them a gift, and a gift could be a compliment, by the way. So I might, and remember, I'm asking for a referral when my client has just a total epiphany, awesome experience, when they're at a high. So when my client is like, I love you, thank you so much, you're so awesome, I'm going to give them a gift of a compliment. I'm going to say, you're awesome. You're the one that did this. You're fantastic. You're one of my favorite people in the world. Whatever I'm now going to say to them, and then I'll ask them, you wouldn't mind, and I'll say something along like, I would love to add a couple more clients like you. Can you think of anybody that I could give a free gift to? And then I'll give something away. And I'll be specific. In my context, I give away a strategy session. So I'll typically charge like $1,500 to talk to a business owner. But if I have a raving fan like Sandy on the line and she's like, oh, my God, you're great, I'll be like, hey, who else do you know that owns a business that might be able to value, get a similar experience? So what I do actually before I ask for the referral, now I'm thinking about it, Marie, is I will, when she's at her peak, I'm going to ask her who else she knows like that.
Okay.
So I jog her memory and get her thinking about other people before I ask for the referral. And then I'll say, you know what, Sandy, I would absolutely love to meet them, and I would give them a $1,500 gift of just, I'll have a conversation with them and help them. And I don't know if they'd ever become a client or not, but I just love people, and I want to add 3 new clients right now. And would you do that as a personal favor for me? I'd really appreciate it. And when she says yeah, because I've now asked it in such a way that, like, she kind of feels compelled because, okay, we're just celebrating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really easy for me to walk away, and she'll go, okay, well, I'll think about it and get back to you. And if I leave, I'll never get the referral. I know it. So now I got to go ahead and I got to say, well, who is, and I'll go ahead and, well, how about that guy Jack? You were just talking about him. And he's like, I don't know. You're like, well, you know what? We just would you mind? And now I'm just flexible. But I now see this is the stage of the sale. So let's go back to, if you're looking at the screen, let's go back to me understanding the stage of the sale. So now I am communicating, okay, to this person that I would like a referral. And so I'm either going to leave here and I want 3 referrals. I know I want 3 referrals. Now, this person may choose not to give me a referral, and that's totally fine. I don't care if I can only ask. But I ask and I give them, and I have a piece of paper with 5 names on it if I have the piece of paper in front of me, and because once they get going, they get to write them down. And I'll tell you, this worked for, Robin's brother basically got some help from us. He wrote a movie, and he's looking to get some money for his movie, and he needs to raise like $500,000. He's raised like $250,000, needs the next $500,000 or the next $250,000. And he was like raving about the value that he got from Robin and I teaching him about sales. And so we asked him for a referral, and he straight up didn't give us one. And I was like, dude, but I thought you just loved us. And he's like, I do, but I just can't think of anybody. It's like in my industry, and I just can't think of anybody. And so then I helped him, and I jogged his memory, and he's like, can't think of anybody. And I know he probably had somebody that he is thinking of that he didn't want to talk to me about, and that was cool. Like, he didn't give us a referral. I got to know. And there's no problem. But 9 times out of 10, if I just help them along the process, and you get the name and number now, make it easy for them, I guess is what I do, Marie. I'm trying to figure this out on like how I really do it.
Right.
So, Trevor, can I ask you a question?
Please, who's this?
Irene.
Hi, Irene.
What if they say I have to ask their permission before I give out their number?
Great question. So if somebody gives me their rules, I will try once to make it okay for them to go around their rules. So I'll say, you know what? Well, remember, like I was just saying, Irene, my job's to just make you look good. And so when you give me their name, I'm just going to call them up. I'm going to, whatever, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to ask them if they'd like to meet. And again, I'm going to be giving them a present. I'm going to give them a gift. Like I just gave you a gift, I want to give them a gift. Would you feel okay with that? And if they say no, then I align with them because I make it okay. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Because if they tell me that they want to say something first, then I'll try to change their mind, but they don't want to be convinced. Now they just feel manipulated. So I'll try once, and I might say, Irene, like what I did, Robin one time sent me a referral via email. And so what I'll do is, and it said, Trevor meet Susie, Susie meet Trevor. I think you guys are awesome and should get a chance to talk. Mm-hmm. And so she actually gave both of us a compliment in the email. She said, Susie, you're one of my favorite people in the world, and Trevor, I totally think he's awesome. I think you guys should talk, and your contact information's in this email. So what I did is I will oftentimes use that email and say, you know what, if you want to just introduce us by email, I'll send you a little email, and you can just send that to your friend, and that way they can get in whatever. Because, I'm trying to make it easy for them. But if they say, oh, no, I want to talk to them first, fine, that's cool. And a friend of mine gave me a couple of referrals recently. She would not give me any over the phone. I tried to collect them right now. She said, I can't think of anybody. And within the next week, I got a referral from her, and she's done it twice for me now, and I made thousands of dollars from her couple of referrals. So just because people have their own rules about when they give it to you doesn't mean that that's bad. It's just you want to try to make it easy for them.
Okay.
So I like to ask, but here's the clarity. The clarity is that you need to know what you want specifically. So when you ask for a referral, you want to ask for 3. You want to preempt it by giving them a gift. You want to overcome your own BS when it comes to what your own challenges are about referrals. Because if you got the challenge and freaky deaky about giving referrals to somebody, or in the past you've not, however you've asked, you haven't gotten a referral, then you want to improve this. And like the 3 rules of referrals are key. Because some of my best clients, in fact, I think like 80% of my clients come from referral.
But how do you get over your own stuff? Just by willing it? I mean, is there some technique to get over your own stuff?
Well, what's your stuff?
Well, I don't know. I don't give out names of I won't give out my friends' contact information unless I ask them. for permission,
Okay.
you know. I mean, if it's a business, sometimes if it's a business person, I will give them their card, but it depends.
Okay, so in a live seminar, we do a little exercise. We say, and it's like, do you know a dentist who, we have a picture of a kid with holding up a toothbrush, and the phrase is, do you happen to know a dentist who works with kids? Mm-hmm. And we have people go around and ask this question, and nobody has a problem asking, and giving that answer. Because they're like, they either know a dentist that works with kids or they don't know a dentist that works with kids. But in general, nobody's freaky-deaky about giving out that dentist's name that works with kids. But for some reason, we as human beings get all freaky-deaky about recommending, giving a referral. So what we do is we use that as an example to try to overcome people's freaky-deakiness about stuff. And sometimes in the seminar setting, people get this huge aha of wow, hold on, there's really no difference between, do you happen to know a dentist who works with kids? So it's just you figuring out what it is. Now, in short, though, what I would suggest is that if you say your rules are you won't give out somebody's name unless you talk to them first, then you can either change your rules around that or figure out a way that you would give somebody's name. Or if you still must check with that other person, that's okay. What's your 3-step formula? But lock it down. And so that you know what it is, so that you know how to lead your people. Because you're going to get some people like me, I'll just give you the referral. And if I want to protect my person from you, you're probably not a referral I want to give.
Could I put in a word here, Trevor?
Sure.
There's something that I've learned through one of my businesses, through Veridian, that might be helpful here. If people say, no, I have to ask my friends before I give out their numbers, which people say all the time, would it make sense to say, that's great, I'm really glad you're protecting your friends, it's a very smart thing to do. When do you think you'll have a chance to ask them? And I'll call you after, and when is a good time for me to call for information?
Yeah, the problem with that is when people ask their friends ask what it's about, and they don't sell you as well as you can sell yourself.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to insist that they have to ask their friends.
Well, so here's the thing: it's not a science; it's an art. So you're going to have to figure out how it works with you and how it works with the people that you're talking to, and everybody's different. So I do have a phrase, this is something that we teach called the 7 magic words of how you can attract your ideal client. Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Wait.
Okay. The 7 magic words are, who do you know I can help or we can help, depending on whether or not you're an I or a we.
Who do you know we can help?
Who do you know that we can help? So in this example, remember Marie asked the question of what do I say? Well, I wait for my client to have an awesome experience, and when they're at a peak, I say, hey, who do you know that's like you that I might be able to help?
That's great.
Because here's the thing, I'm presupposing that they know someone. Especially in network marketing, this is huge. This was the one phrase we taught in network marketing. This is it. When I taught thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, this was the one phrase, was who do you know we can help? I'm looking at whether or not I've taught this yet.
If we can help stronger, Trevor, then I may be able to help, or does it not matter?
That's a great question. Personally, I think it's always stronger to go with we. But some people get freaky-deaky about that. They're like, I'm not a we, I'm an I. Okay, well, then you'd be an I.
No, that we can help or that we may be able to help. Is that either one stronger?
Oh, can is always stronger than we may be able to.
Well, it depends on, again, this is going to be your personal style. And see, there's a difference between a script and a structure, so you want to find out what works for you. So depending on the context, I might say one or the other. If you put that we might be able to help in there, then that's kind of a softener that may make it okay. Again, you want to use words that will allow to just give you a referral. Who cares what it is? Like, I want to just give them from just like, who do you know that we might maybe kind of sort of could potentially help? Like anybody. Like, we used to sell a product that helped people lose weight. So we'd say, who do you know might, or do you know, who do you know might want to lose some weight that we might be able to help? And they'd say, nobody. And this was a common thing. Like, here's the deal, is you ask a question, you guys can basically, I can guarantee you that some people are not going to participate. They're not going to play your reindeer games. You're going to ask this question and go, it did not work. I asked, hey, who do you know might want to lose some weight? Might want to. And they'll say, nobody. And you're like, nobody? And you're talking to someone who's overweight. Let's say they're grossly overweight. You're talking to them, and you're like, you mean to tell me you have absolutely no idea of anybody? You can't think of anyone who might maybe kind of be open to wanting to lose some weight? Nobody? And they're like, nope, nobody. But you got an answer. And you can be right or you can be rich. So I don't want to make them wrong because then I'm going to be poor because nobody wants to be made wrong. And it was funny because we used to do live dials and talk to people live on the phone so that and record the whole thing so that people could hear the conversations that we get into. And like sometimes we would be that, like, you got to be kidding me. Like, really, you don't know anybody you don't have a family member that, or a friend that anybody wants to lose some weight? Everybody knows somebody who wants to lose some weight. They're like, nope. What they're saying is, I don't believe you, I don't trust you, I don't, whatever. And that's fine. We didn't want to make them feel bad because you want to make them a friend. But it's totally okay to ask a question and have people say, I'm not going to give you anybody. I told you about my wife's brother, my brother-in-law. He's like, I'm not going to give you a referral. And I know we know somebody that he could refer to us, but he's like, nope, I can't think of anybody. I'm like, okay. I didn't make him feel bad because that's not my goal. But I have total clarity. Check it out. I'm going to go back to the stages of the sale that I was communicating. I want some referrals, please. And he said, no. And I'm like, okay, well, I either would have gotten referrals or not. And I actually gave him a form that I'll send you guys with 5 names on it, and he signed the bottom, and the bottom said, I'm not going to give you, either don't know or I don't trust you, I'm not going to give you a referral. Like, I have a little sentence you'll read on there. We created the form for a sales team to use so that when they go and make a sale or try to make a sale, they're supposed to use this referral form every single time and say it was part of their system, so that they could apologize for it. The reason we used the piece of paper is it was the tool. And now they could align with the person and blame the system. And I will use this even if I'm the guy that created the system. Because once things are in writing, they're hard to argue about. Like, it's in black and white. You're like, gosh, I wish I could do something else, but at this point I have to hand you this form. I have no, it's part of our system. And I'm required to either get a referral, 3 referrals from you, or have you sign the bottom and say you can't think of anybody. And now they can apologize for it and align with the person and show that they care, but then the tool kind of does the work for them, and the person that they're asking the referral from could go ahead and say, well, gosh, let me try to help you out. I don't want to sign the bottom that says I can't think of anybody. Let me think of somebody. And it won't work every time. I'm trying to give you some different examples here. Is this helpful so far?
Yes.
Irene?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, sort of. I'm not 100% clear what I'll do, but it's I have some ideas.
So here's the thing. This is really great that I get to go back and forth with like some of your challenges and concerns with this. But here's my share. Like, I've taken notes here about some of your conversations since we've been on the line, like the last couple of calls. You got a blank piece of paper in front of you on these stages of the sale. I would print out several of these. I've got them printed in my folder, and so that I can go ahead, and if I'm ever confused about what I want to happen next, I use this page. Granted, I can pull out a blank piece of paper and think about it, but you just want to know what the steps are. So for right now, if you don't have a referral program, decide you're going to have one. Pick a time. If you like something that I said, pick one. Here's something really key. Not making a decision is still a decision. So either way, you're deciding. So you want to pick something. And so, Marie, when you go to these $2,500 worth of new headshots that you've got coming, what are you going to ask for? Do you want them to go to your Facebook? Do you want to ask for an upsell? Do you want to say, would you like fries with that? Would you like to double your order? Would you like, if you're a massage therapist, would you want to book the next session?
Right.
And have a couple of things. So you can say, well, if they don't sign up for your Facebook, well, then would you at least give me a referral? Because I'm looking for another, and help them out with that preemptive thing, like do you know anybody else that does your same type of business? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, I know of a lot of people.
Okay.
So I try to get them thinking about it first. Okay, questions around this, because this is pretty valuable stuff, but I also don't want to let us stagnate here. Any questions, more questions about referrals or the stages of the sale?
I'm trying to figure out how the stages of the sale are going to apply to me, but I think as I work on it, I can get a better idea.
Okay. So now, was there another share? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm confused between the align and the associate. Is that what we're asking about now? The why? Oh, sorry.
Great. Let's go to that, page 6. Thank you for that. I apologize. We're kind of skipping around here, but here we go. So this is kind of a formula that I suggest you use when it comes to your communication. So it's ask, align, associate, and then are you ready? So this is another way of looking at what you say to a human being when you're giving them permission to buy from you, when you're having a sales conversation. So imagine this. So imagine that you went to a used car dealer, and I did this just recently because we just bought a new car, and we were just inundated by the worst possible sales techniques ever. Like, it was completely the used car salesman persona out there was just like, it existed. It was just awful. You guys ever shop for cars and have somebody treat you like a used car salesman, like your worst nightmare?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. So this is what they did not do. What they did is I walked in the door and they started trying to sell me something, and they started trying to convince me that I wanted something I didn't want, instead of asking me questions. So at every one of our sales seminars we've ever done, we've had people saying, I just wish I knew what to say to people. And it's not about what you say, it's about what you ask. So remember, like, if they respond to you, you just want to ask them questions. So in the context of the Ultimate Sales Formula, you say, hi, my name is such and such. You build rapport. You guys all learned this when you went to our Ultimate Sales Formula training with Robin. Then you ask them questions. Why are you here? How can I help you? You just ask a whole series of questions, is ask. And what you're trying to do, and we talk about, you ask questions about what their pain is and what their pleasure is. These are the basic questions. And we gave you some examples on one of the last calls of some questions that we ask about frustrations, concerns, challenges, or about pleasure. If you could have anything you wanted, how would it be? What if you could wave a magic wand? And this is where you ask. Now, when it comes to align with them, this is where you don't judge them or make them wrong. So this is what these guys would do at the car salesman place, is if they did ask me a question, well, what are you looking for? And we said, we're looking for a white Hyundai Sonata. And they were like, well, we have a black one and a blue one and a gray one. And I'm like, well, they're like, well, you shouldn't get a white one because they don't, whatever. And they started judging me and telling me I was wrong. See, if you align with someone, then you actually see it from their perspective. Don't judge them and make them wrong. And this is so often what happens. Like, I have clients that, and I'll be specific about photography, that will get upset when people will say, I want to hire you, and I want you to give me all of the negatives and proofs. Are you with me on this, Marie?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you're like, and depending on how you look at this, you could get really upset because that's not how it works typically, right?
Right, and it's constantly yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's constantly your stuff. So so now here's your deal. You can get mad at them and make them wrong, and even if you don't make them wrong, if it's inside of you driving you freaking crazy, then they may feel judged. So instead, it doesn't mean you have to give them all their prints, but you can at least align with them and see it from their perspective and go, you know what, I guess that makes sense from their perspective. It's not making them wrong. It's just understanding. Now, what I often do is repeat back to them what I heard. Because just because you asked a question and they answered does not mean they told you the truth. Or it means they don't even know what they answered. Most times people don't know what they want. They know more of what they don't want. So you repeat back to them what they said, and they're like, and you go, do I understand you correctly? And they're like, nope, you don't. And you're thinking, are you a crazy person? I just told you exactly what you just told me. And they're like, nope, you don't get it, which means they didn't get it. So they go a little deeper. So you ask questions to find out what they want or what they don't want. That's the pain or the pleasure. You might use the technique of repeating it back to them and aligning it with them and seeing it from their perspective. Like if you think of somebody who's pointing at a star, like it's a starry night, and they're pointing up in the sky and they're like, do you see that? Do you see that? And you're like, no, no, no. But if you like get right behind them and you put your eye right where their eye is and you look up where they're looking, you're like, oh, you mean the Little Dipper? Yes, of course. Now I see. So you want to see it from their perspective. Then the next one is associate. You want them to associate to their pain or pleasure. So in the context of photography, you might ask them what they don't like about any photos they've ever had done, or something like that.
Right.
And how that, and then I get them emotional about it, like, well, that makes total sense. Like so basically you thought you hated when you wasted money on that and you got shots you didn't even like. And then they touched them up and they were just awful. I totally get it. And associating to it is not you, them. How did that make you feel, Mr. Bob? And they're like, I've felt completely screwed. And you're like, wow. Just let them feel it. And then you can say, well, have you ever had a photo that you really loved? You know, what was your best experience? Do you have like absolutely. And then they tell you, and now you let them experience that emotion, because people buy with emotion. They back it up with logic. So you want to get them to associate to the feelings of pleasure of them having whatever they want. Like, how will that make you feel if your photo gave you, made you look professional and made you and attracted you more business and captured whatever the heck they want, right? Mm-hmm. And then you've now asked them what they want. You've asked them, you allowed them time to associate to, what they want or don't want. And then before you pitch your stuff on them, ask them if they want your recommendation. Are you ready? We also say, do I have your permission? But now and see, here's the thing is if you go to a networking event, you have people vomiting all over you, and they're like, hey, let me sell you my stuff. And it's like, oh, good God, could you not vomit all over me? Mm-hmm. Ask me what I want first. Align with me. Show me that you care and you're not judging me. Get me to, feel it, if possible. And this can be done very quickly. It doesn't have to take a long time. And then, well, are you ready? Now that let's say this is a cup of coffee. You're meeting someone for the first time, and you're like, hey, you're really cool at an event. And I'd just like to meet you for a cup of coffee, and that's the stage of the sale, and you forget everything else we talked about, but you just ask them questions and don't judge them, and then you go, gosh, you know what? And you get them emotional about what they have, and you don't make them wrong, and then you're like, would you like to, because we're down a cup of coffee, right? I'm like, you know what? Would you like to have a strategy session with me where we can actually talk about if there's something I can do to help you? And they're going to say yes or no. And that's totally cool, whatever they answer. But now at least you didn't leave a cup of coffee going, gosh, how am I ever going to get them as a client, because you didn't know what you were doing next. But it's ask the line associate, are you ready? Are you ready to sit down and have a conversation about whether or not we can work together? And if they say, you know what, not right now, Like, thank God you didn't start selling them. I'm trying to convince them that they wanted to buy something. So, okay, questions about that?
I thought that was really clear.
Well, can I say something like a lot of these people, they'll call up and they're, you know, I have my 80th birthday party. It's 2 hours. How much is it, you know? And they're just so shopping on price. And, you know, I do ask them, well, how many people or what's important to you, you know, and then when I tell them price, then, you know, I'll have to get back to you. Then, you know, then I ask them, and I know that then the price is more than what they want to pay. I just know it. Then I ask them, oh, what is your concern? Well, I was hoping to get it for $500. It's like, oh, brother, you know. So
got it. This is so cool. So check this out. Here's what happened. See, in this context, they called you for a price. Now,
everybody, that's all they're doing now, and it's just price. It's like, gee, and it's done. And then they realize that it really should be, like I said, $1,200, but they don't want to spend it. And I said, look, you're going to get really great photographs. You could hire someone else for $500. They're not going to look like my photos, you know. But, yeah, I didn't do this area that you're talking about. But then, you know, they're just so hung up on the price, and they really were just going to have their friends do it, or, you know, yada yada, and, you know.
So here's your choice on that. I mean, you gotta. So I had people at the used car lots trying to sell me and ask me questions, but I wasn't open. I didn't want to be asked questions. I knew exactly what I wanted and exactly what I wanted to pay. So in a lot of respects, I was their worst nightmare because they couldn't convince me of anything. I knew exactly the car, exactly the mileage, exactly the interior. If they didn't have that exact car and they jacked with me on price, I hung up. And I got to the point where I wouldn't go to another car dealer because I knew exactly what I wanted. But I'd also been jacked around a lot. So I wanted to be in control of this. So part of it, like, that's why, like, and I understand this in your context of them asking for price. So part of the way that you can deal with this is you just give them the answer. But you give them an answer that will entice them, and you need to know what the next stage of the sale is. So for you, it's having a bigger conversation. You want to go ahead and have them, you know, you want to turn this into, you want to get permission to ask questions and frame this into what they want and don't want. You basically need to schedule, you get a phone call. Let's go to your stage of the sale. People contact you at the initial point of contact, and they call you up and say, hey, what's up with the price? Now, your next appointment, you're trying to schedule a strategy session. But you got to answer their question or you seem like a jerk. And if you try to, when they called for price and they've scheduled 2 minutes to talk to you, and you try to engage them in a 10-minute conversation about getting emotional about their pain and pleasure, they're just now frustrated because that's not what they wanted. So what you got to do is give them what they wanted, but you have total clarity about what you want, which is a strategy session. Now, you only want a strategy session with those people that you think you can convert to clients, because you don't want to waste your time either, because you can go ahead and win in this context, and you'll have 20 strategy sessions and never make a sale because they're all only going to spend $500. So you don't want to waste your time. Or you start having a $500 offer that you can just give to anybody. So in the context of one of my other clients, when they ask her for price, I tell her to just lowball it and say, look, I can do a photo shoot for you for $100. I have somewhere between $100 and like $10,000. I don't know. You just, so it depends on what you need. And they're like, well, what's your basic headshot? And you're like, well, again, I could probably do a basic headshot for like $150, but what I would recommend is that we just set about 10 minutes to talk so I can find really what you need, and then I'll customize my packages to something that works for you. But I want to make sure you get what you need. So can we just, do you have 10 minutes now to talk about it or not?
Right.
Oh, you don't right now. No problem. Then let's set that appointment.
I did that with someone else, but she's so driven on price. I gave her a range, and then she was like, okay, well, 8 hours with a 30-page album with this, how much is that? And I'm just like, then I write back, and, I'm giving her a range. I said, but we need to set up a time so I can find out exactly what, how I can show you the value or whatever. And it's dead in the water, and then they just run away. And we actually had an appointment set up, and then she got sick, and then she's just like, well, to save time, what's the price? And I already had given her a range before, but it seems like she's just shopping somebody's thing. And you can't compare one album from another and what somebody else does, because it's not a Honda EX that we're selling with another Honda EX, It's not.
I get it. Well, and I'm not the only business coach out there, so I get the same thing. I mean, we all get the same thing in a different context. I mean, depending on our business, we have our own challenges. But so here's the thing, is let's go back to the awesome A's here of Ask a Line Associate. Where is it? Page 7.
Page 6.
Here we go. Ask a Line Associate, are you ready? So I just try to get permission to go to the next stage. And if I can feel, you're going to feel out your client and you'll know, or prospect, whether or not you want to waste the time. I personally don't want to waste my time. So I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what? In order to go to the next level with you, I've already given you my prices. I would love to work with you, but we've got to have at least 5 minutes to talk. Now I know even if I set that appointment, with 10 people, there's no way if I set an appointment like that with 10 people that I'm going to have 10 conversations. I just know it. It's a fact. Even if these are 10 people who came from beautiful referrals who would love to hire me tomorrow, I know 10 people are not keeping 10 appointments. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
You ever have a party and somebody says, I'm on my way, and they never show up and you don't talk to them for like weeks? And it doesn't mean they don't like you. It means something happened. So it's just a fact, and that in sales you're not supposed to get everybody, but you get to choose how you're going to treat your time. And here's what I would challenge each of you, and we all need to remember this, is that we train people how to treat us. So if you're being treated a certain way, and if it's consistent for you, then you're training people to do that. And you now get the opportunity to train them how you to frame it differently, to give them another way of treating you. And it's just figuring out what you want. And so for me, it comes down to so simple. You're just at what stage of the conversation are you in, and then where do you want to get them to go? And one last thing here on asking questions. The person asking the questions is the person who's in control of the communication. So if you've got somebody beating you up on price, and this is called a sleight of mouth technique, and we'll cover this later. We've got a whole slide training thing about it. But the basic gist of this is you guys can if somebody asks you a question, ask a question back. You want to get control over communication, just ask questions. And actually, here's the thing about it. The person asking the questions is actually the person who is helping more, who's serving more. So think about you asking questions as far as serving more. You don't want to be a weird jerk about this, but in general, the person asking the questions, the person who is in control of the communication. So if you find yourself being interrogated by people, you want to turn it around and ask cool questions. You don't want to be the interrogator. That's not nice. But you want to serve them and ask cool questions. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on, because that is a very powerful part of it, but this is also part of the ultimate sales formula. High, why. In why, remember in high we build rapport. You can do that instantaneously in a heartbeat in a second by smiling and matching and mirroring with them. You can go ahead and then ask questions about their pain and pleasure, and then you finally say, well, are you ready? On the Ask a Line Associate, are you ready for me to give you my options? Well, we actually have A, B, or C. Which would you prefer? Which is why, Marie, you want to know what your A, B's, and C's are when you go and shoot these things with them. Is it Facebook and a referral and a whatever? You want to know. And then buy is you collect the decision. Or in the case of a referral, you go ahead and say, write it down, baby. You know what? And and give them brownies. It doesn't matter. I brought brownies. I would love to give you these brownies. Everybody, I'm giving a cupcake to all of my clients because I'm looking for 3 referrals from each client, and here's a cupcake. While I shoot for you, would you please think about it, write them down? All I need is a name, a phone number, and an email. I'd really appreciate it. I'm just going to tell them how cool you are, and I'm going to give them an amazing gift. Not all of them will give you a referral. That's okay. But if somebody gives you one, you just won. You always want to give a guarantee, and bonuses are awesome, so that's the next part of that. And I'm challenging you guys to make sure that if you don't have this already, pick a guarantee, pick a bonus, and we can talk about that in more detail. We're not going to go into the rapport exercise, ask client associate. This is the Make Money song. Let me cover this briefly. Now, actually, hold on for a second. It is 8:30, so we've been on for 90 minutes. So I can't believe how fast the time went by. So who has any questions before I go on? Anything that's burning? Jeanette, I haven't heard from you unless I'm mistaken on voice.
I put you on mute. I'm just listening. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
No, this makes sense, but it was funny. You were saying about how people are treating you, and I guess I'm a little frustrated lately because like I'll have meetings set up, and somebody will say, oh, is this day or this day better with you? And I'll give them a day, and then I never hear from them again. So I don't even get like in the door half the time. So it's a little frustrating. So I think I'm maybe, that's what I was even thinking myself. I said, what am I doing that is getting this kind of reaction?
Got it. Okay, so then let's go to this. I'm going to answer this in context of some of the handouts that we've got here. So if you look at slide number 8, we've got slide number 7 has the Make Money song. I'll cover that in a minute. Mm-hmm. Let's go to slide number 8. So Jeanette, you're saying that you basically say, well, you just mentioned something that I think can bring up this concept. When you are trying to set an appointment with someone, it's best to use this strategy. I'm sure you guys have heard of this before. We call it this or that. Like, what would be better for you, this week or next week, Monday or Tuesday, morning or afternoon, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And in general, that makes it easier for people to give you an answer. You don't want to ask an open-ended question, or a yes or no question is like, would you like to meet with me? And now half the time they're going to either say what you want, which is yes, or no, which you don't want. So I would prefer to ask, when would be best to meet with me, this week or next week? And if they're busy, there's no way this week. I just can't do it. And you're like, okay, well then what time next week? Would you rather do it on like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday? So you're saying, Jeanette, that you're already getting that far. Is that right?
Right. Like somebody came back to me and gave me a few days, and then I picked one, and I never heard.
Yep. Well, if that happens, there's an art to getting people to keep an appointment. And so one of the things I will do, you never know, you got to feel people out. And I say go with your gut. Everybody on here except for me is a woman. I think you all have very powerful women's intuition. And sometimes you hear a lot of stuff that's going on that nobody says. You guys can feel what's going on. So I would say have your radio antenna up so you can be paying attention. If you can tell somebody is messing with you or they're not real congruent, I get them to promise. Or like I say, oh, look, I'm putting this on the calendar. You got to be very, I will go ahead and I will sometimes acknowledge people for being professional and keeping appointments, and I know that they would never cancel on me without letting me know, and I'm sure that's how they are because that's how I would treat them, and I'll say exactly that to them when I'm on the line.
Okay.
Because I want to treat them as a professional, and I don't warn them that they're a jerk. I go ahead and I acknowledge them for a future behavior, and I compliment them today for having that professionalism, to treat me with respect. And
what
does
that sound like, Trevor?
Excuse me?
What does that sound like? Like, who would you say?
Okay, was that Jeanette or that was not Jeanette?
Irene.
It was a different voice. Irene, so I might say, okay, Irene, I'm looking at my calendar. Let's do this. I'll go to my calendar. Here, we'll go to this one. So I go to my calendar. I'm like, okay, Irene, I'm opening up my calendar right now, and I have an appointment for, let's say, next Monday. I'm putting it in at 9 o'clock. Next Tuesday, the 21st at 9 o'clock. Is that good for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm putting that in my calendar right now. And Irene, can I get what's the best number to reach you just in case something comes up and I have to cancel or reschedule? What would be the best number for you?
Okay, 555 blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Okay, I've got that, and I'll tell you, mine is 561-601-9871, and here's what I'd ask. I know that you've been totally great with me so far on the phone. I know you're a total professional, but when I put something in my calendar, I keep my commitments, and I know you do too. So if anything comes up, would you just do me the favor like I will do with you, and I'm sure you will, just let me know if anything comes up that you need to cancel or reschedule, because when I lock in an appointment, then I clear everything else off, and you become the most important person in the world to me. So would that be okay with you? I mean, would you be willing to do that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. I knew you would. You're just so awesome. I can't wait to talk to you on Tuesday. Unless something comes up, just give me a phone call or a text. I work on both. Do you do text, by the way? Can I get you by text?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And I look forward to helping you, and we'll have like 15 minutes to talk on Tuesday. Okay, thanks. That's basically it.
Okay.
I mean, and depending on my women's intuition, which I don't have, but whatever, if I'm paying attention and I can tell they might flake on me, I'll go deeper. I'll say, look, Irene, this is really important to me that we keep this appointment. I mean, do you even want to have this appointment? I'll take it away. Like, we don't have to have an appointment. Do you not want to meet with me and talk about this? Because again, guys, I don't care I only want to meet with them if they really want to hire me. So I'll just be more polarizing. Like, no, I really want to meet with you. I'll make them say that. Because I don't want to waste my time. It's not about selling them. It's about giving them what they want and finding out if they're the right fit. So is that helpful with that part, Irene?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I usually confirm a day ahead of time to just make sure. Or that morning I call.
Great point. So you can always confirm. Now, there's a rule of thought. There are some people that always confirm appointments, and there's some people who don't, okay? So, like, for a long time, I would, because I was trying to master my appointment setting, I would always, confirm. I'd send them a confirmation email. I'd send them a text message. I'd remind them. And then I'm like, this is just exhausting. So I get to the point where now I'm like, look, I'm not going to call you. I mean, we'll talk on 9 a.m., but I'm not going to send you a reminder. I'm asking you to put it in your calendar so that we lock it down. Is that cool with you? And you're sure you're going to be there? Okay, thank you. Absolutely. I will call you right on time unless something else comes up. Because I don't want to play that, because then if I have to babysit them the whole time, I just think I'm going to have a babysitting type of client. But that said, it's definitely paid off sometimes because people are human and forgetful, and I've had some clients that I've gotten who flaked on me. By the way, this is great. If a client ever flakes on you on an appointment and it was their fault, don't make them feel bad because they can eventually. That's some of my easiest ways to get a client if somebody flakes on a promise.
Oh, how do you do that?
You just stay nice, stay cool, and persistent. Like I have a friend of mine, Corrine Stacia. I've said this many times. I don't know if any of you know her, but she's the president of an organization. Yep. You guys know her?
I know her, Isis. Yeah.
Okay, Isis. Yeah, so she's great.
That's
but
how I met you.
Oh, wow.
I was the one photographing that day you were on stage.
Oh, man.
In Montclair, the Montclair Museum, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do remember that. I gave that talk on how to achieve the impossible, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Corrine missed 3 of our appointments, but she really wanted to meet with me. It was just something came up. Like one time she forgot to call. Another time she didn't get it on her calendar. And so I never made her feel bad. I just kept, I really liked her, and she really liked me. It was just that she was very busy, and so I just stayed persistent. And I didn't make her feel bad. And so then by the time we finally met, she was like, the sense of reciprocity was there. I'd already made a lot of deposits into her emotional bank account because I stayed cool even though she made a mistake or two. It wasn't a big deal to me because I understand people are people. It wasn't personal. She liked me, you know. It was just something came up. So it's interesting because I've changed my perspective, and I'll give you one quick last story here and then make sure. I was in Australia when I was in my 20s for the first time, and I was leaving Australia. I'd been there for 2 months, and I met this guy from Texas. I met very few Americans while I was in Australia, and I had just had the time of my life. I just graduated from college. I had the best vacation of my life. I had the most amazing experiences, and I just thought Australia was the coolest, greatest place on the planet. I just met so many people. It was amazing. Everybody I met was fantastic. And so I just met this Texas guy, and we were on a train together, and I was about to leave the country, and I met him, and he had the absolute polar opposite experience of my own. He had gotten in fights and thought everybody was a jerk and blah, blah, blah. It was just unbelievable, his perspective of the country and the people. And we tend to find things that we look for. So, like, I read a book a long, long time ago called Go for No when it comes to sales. And see, a lot of times we're on this emotional roller coaster as human beings, and when somebody celebrates you and buys from you or says yes to you, we'll be on an emotional high, and we celebrate. We're like, woohoo, I feel so great. But then the challenge with that is then you're on another emotional roller coaster, and if they say no or don't buy from you or don't show up to an appointment, we can get down in the dumps. Oh, no, they didn't buy my network marketing thing. They didn't buy my client thing. They didn't do this. And we're like, so now we're on this emotional roller coaster that is 100%, in this case, outside of our ability to control because we are being manipulated by what other people do. And I promise you, you are not in control of other people. I don't care what you think. So that is one area of your world that you will never be able to control is other people and what they think and how they behave. And so if that's your barometer for happiness or sadness, then you're at the whim of someone else. So when I read Go for No, what they taught was yes is the destination. You want to get the yes. You know, we use the target of like, up at the top of the page. Your goal is you get a yes. But the way to get there is through a series of no's. Just like when Sandy shared at the beginning of today's call that she's like celebrating that sometimes she was on the wrong path. She was making mistakes. She was failing. Like the path to get to the yes is through no's. Really, you shouldn't be celebrating the yeses because the yeses will happen if you just talk to enough people. The concept of Go for No was start to celebrate the no's. And if for every 20 no's, I get 3 yeses, and those yeses are awesome clients. And the no's actually doesn't mean that these aren't people who don't like me or not nice people. You're blown away sometimes where people will think about all these nasty things that other people are thinking when they just don't get a response they want. Sometimes it's just that they got busy or lost or something happened to their kid. I mean, I'm sure we have all like thought negative thoughts about other people and then found out that like there was some kind of ulterior circumstances that had nothing to do with you. So I started to reprogram my mind to celebrate the no's instead of the yeses. Because here's the problem with yeses. By the way, each and every one of you ladies, I love you guys, but each one of you are a huge problem for me and Robin. Just like each and every one of your clients are a potential problem for you as well. Because you now have to fulfill on your promise. Because we promise to help you and to give our best. And you guys may say you like us. You may say good job. You may say not a good job. We don't like you. Or you may not get the result. It's like, oh, my God, now the biggest problem I have is when you say yes or a client says yes, you got to go fulfill on that promise. And if you don't, you sign them up in your business, or they become a new business partner for you, or they become a new client and they hire you. If you do a bad job, or they think it's a bad job, regardless of whether or not it was the best work you've ever done, you can't control what they think, feel, behave, anything. It's like almost now every time I get a client, I'm like, oh no, like, do I really want to work with this person, because I'm going to be married to them for at least a session, if not 6 months, and their problems become my problems when they hire me. I'm like, a yes is almost scary to me. Now, I get excited about that, but I've conditioned my mind in a really weird way. I celebrate the no's. I've hugged people who tell me no, because I'm like, thank God. This is not the right fit. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's just that they don't want to hire me right now, or sometimes I don't even make them the offer because they're not ready. And I'm like, thank goodness. So I am really freaky when it comes to this, that I celebrate the stuff that a lot of times people get upset about, because I always find the silver lining as quickly as possible because of this weird reprogramming thing. I didn't really mean to share that, but does that make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Just a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that we just stayed on. We plan to do some extra time on these calls rather than just being an hour. We do some interaction and do some Q&A. I do not want to go past 9 because I don't feel like that's appropriate for our timing for everyone. So let me just ask another question. I'm sure somebody out there has something burning that they need to say or ask. So what is it that we have not talked about or is like burning that we need to make sure we cover before we get off the call?
I do have a question, if there's time for this. I'm doing a trade show on Friday, and there are going to be like at least 1,000 people there. I have a table, and I'm giving a talk towards the end of the day for whoever's left who comes. And I'm not sure what to offer. I was going to offer a strategy session and have people fill out a very short questionnaire, like 3 questions, and maybe have some candy there. I can't really afford promotional products right now. So is there something better I should be offering?
Great. So let's go back to this. Okay, so this is good. Let me see. Okay, so we're going to talk about this next section of content. Okay, this is page number 9 of the second module, which is closing the sale. Okay, so closing the sale. So when we talk about in the Ultimate Sales Formula, if you look back at page 3, the Ultimate Sales Formula is hi, why, try, buy. Buy is closing the sale. So how do you close the sale? And this is in the context of both whether or not it's asking for a referral or the next sale or the upsell or the trade show that you're talking about. So if you look at the stages of the sales sheet, you're basically going to the trade show. So you would put trade show in the bottom thing. Now, I used to teach at trade shows around the country, and I would go and I would teach the franchisees, the franchisors, people that had business opportunities, and I did it all over the country. I was in 20 cities, and it was crazy. And I would teach them how to run a better trade show. So here's the thing you want to do is you got to understand what you're there for. So very, very briefly, you are there at the trade show, and I would normally ask questions to get you to elicit this, but I want to just answer directly. You're there to get a list of people, and that's it. You just want names, phone numbers, emails. You're there for a list. I mean, that's the end result you want there, are people who are curious about your thing. Now, you can get a list in a variety of ways. I highly recommend using technology to get people to text message their number in, to be very specific. You guys are looking at the screen right now. I want to show you a technology I use called Instant Customer. So you can go to a trade show, and you can use, this is one of my clients has a pet shop, and we used Instant Customer, and in a weekend like reptile show in April, he captured 122 new leads that all text messaged their number in to win a prize. So they gave something away that was clear, concise, and compelling. Okay? They said, We are here to capture a name or email or whatever at the trade show. That's what we're here to do. If people want to come to our booth or whatnot, if they're curious about our thing, then we're here to get their contact information. Now, you could have them put their name or address in a fishbowl, or you could have them write their name down on a list. That's all fine. But I don't want all that stuff because that's hard to follow up with. I'd rather have their phone number, name, email completely in my automated system so I can follow up with them immediately. Like the email can go out to them now. So that's what I did, was use technology. And then in order to make this clear, you want to let them know, hey, would you like to get this free thing? Now you can give away an iPad, which I would not recommend. You can give away a strategy session. You can do any number of things that you think would be appropriate. I don't recommend, candy's nice and whatnot, but who cares? People at trade shows go by and they trick or treat. They're adult trick-or-treaters. They grab the bag and they go down the aisles and adult trick-or-treaters come by and they just want to grab your swag. So your job at a trade show is not to give out all your stuff. Your job at a trade show is to create enough curiosity for your ideal client. You ask a couple of questions that are engaging. You open up your booth. And then you are clear, concise, and compelling. Give them if you enter your name in, if you text message your name in this context, or give me your name, however you want to do it, we will give you this. It is concise. You want to say it quickly. You don't want to make it confusing, and then you want to make it compelling. So give them something that they want. And it does not have to be even in the same sphere of your business. It can be anything. So I had someone who worked a trade show and said, enter your name in for $2,500 worth of prizes. And if or whatever, you'll get $2,500 worth of prizes. One of them, and guy, I'll give you this right now. You can give them a free business consultation with me. I'll do a strategy session with them. My typical session is $1,500, and they enter to win that. Now give one of your own away. That's another, and price yours out or whatever it is, and now you've got something compelling. And it can be anything. You could have people on this line, I'll give you something for free, whatever it is, and they could go ahead and give you a discount or 50% off or whatever, and something that's compelling. Concise means that it's said short in a short period of short time, and clear so that they know exactly what to do next. So it was like text such and such to this number, Does that help?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I can use that technology, but yes, I can. So my idea was to give a free business consultation. And I guess that's what you're saying, that's just fine. Okay.
Well, are you going to give one to everybody, or are you going to give one, are you going to pick out of a hat?
Well, I thought if you filled out 3 questions for me, I would pick the ones that seem most ideal. So
here's the challenge with that. Here's the challenge with that. I probably would not answer 3 questions for you because you want to give me a path of make this easy for me to say yes.
So what if they just put their business card in a bucket for a free consultation? But then I had to give it to everybody who throws it in there, and it could be hundreds of people.
Right.
There's going to be like 2,000 people there.
Well, how about you give away a free report on what are you having at the trade show? I'm sorry. What's your booth for?
For women entrepreneurs, how to fill your calendar with ideal clients, and I'm giving a talk on that too.
Okay. Well, then, do you have like an ebook or something else that you can give to everybody that you could just email them or something, or a report that you could borrow from someone else or something, so that you can give everybody something? Yeah, I have an
article with the same name, or I have other articles I can give, but I want to get a chance to have a strategy session with them. So I wanted to offer that up front. If I just give them an article, then how do I get to the strategy session?
That's a good question. It's just whether or not you want to. Like in this example, my friend added 122 people to his list. You wouldn't have time to do 122 strategy sessions. So you got to get clear about what you want. Do you want to leave there with 5 strategy sessions booked, or do you want 122 people, or do you want both? Like, because you can throw your card in to win a such and such, because then they can be on your list. But you might be asking questions to say, hey, I'm looking to book 10 appointments with people and give them a free strategy session. Do you have a few minutes? Let me ask you about, so you can set it up. But you just got to get clear about what you want.
Okay. I'm more clear now than I was before. I wouldn't mind 100 names. I would just do a few a month. Like I would do like 10 a month. Or like 20, I don't know. I would just do it with it between now and the next few months. I would just, call
Okay,
people.
so let me cover. So here's what I would do. Would you like to meet? I mean, I can stay on a little bit longer and talk to you about this if you want. And hold on, let me see. Is that accurate? I've got another appointment coming up. When is your trade show?
Friday.
Would you like to set an appointment to talk to me tomorrow about that? Because you can. I set up this campaign for my buddy using Instant Customer in like 5 minutes, or maybe it took me longer than that. But I mean, you can use. There's ways that you could powerfully use technology to really make the most out of your event. If you want, I'll give you a free session and just help you with that if you'd like.
Yeah, but I think we might be on 2 different tracks. I guess I can call you tomorrow and see. I just don't know if I really want just names. I think I want more than that. So.
Yeah, well, if you want to have a conversation about what you want, then I can help you more directly.
Yeah,
and what we can do is, if you don't mind, I'll record the call so that I can post that as a Q&A call, and then everybody else can benefit. And we'll just do it short and sweet. And if you want to use the technology, you can. If you don't, that's totally cool. But we'll just talk about what you want.
Okay, I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, real quickly, though, tomorrow I'm busy until I have some time at 4.
No, I don't.
And at 10:30.
Yeah, okay, I can tell you at 10:30.
Okay, so then 10:30, you call me. Do you have my cell phone?
No, I don't.
Okay, it's 561 601 9871. And this is the last thing I'm going to share tonight, which is if you guys look at slide number 8, when you're in sales, now this is not sales, this is setting an appointment because I'm trying to just help you with this part, right? But you definitely, this is a key thing, like we call it BAM FAM, and this is what I just did, is it's booking a meeting from a meeting. That's what BAM FAM stands for. BAM, book a meeting from a meeting. This is when your business turns professional versus anything you've done in the past. So let's say you go to a networking event and you meet some people that you might want to follow up with, and you go home with those business cards. The problem is you now got to follow up with these people and call them and set an appointment. And like you're saying, when you go to this trade show, wouldn't it be great if you already had appointments on your calendar? So here's the rule of thumb. A professional books appointment, appointment, appointment. Your business, if you break it down into like a very simple pieces, is setting appointments and keeping appointments. And so what oftentimes happens is people leave a conversation and they don't book a meeting from a meeting. And now you got to set up and play tag with someone to find out the appropriate time. And so in this context, like I don't have a lot of time for extra calls, so I got to lock it down, and I'm sure you do too. So this is just a great idea moving forward, especially in the sales conversation, is you want to move away from I'll call you later. You want to set a time on a calendar, be a professional, and set that time. And even if you forget, call them right back and be like, well, whoops, I'm sorry, we should have set our next appointment. And today we're going to probably speak at an event in Vegas, and we're going to be paid to speak in front of like 1,000 people, and then we're going to do this workshop. And I thought I really wanted to close the sale today. They're going to pay our fee plus our airfare and whatever and fly us out there. And it did not close today. And so he said, I'll follow up with you. It's going in front of the committee, and we'll decide whether or not we're going to do it by the end of the month. And I was like about to hang up the phone, and I'm like, hold on, we haven't set up a time. Like, are you going to call? Like, and I really wanted to book a meeting from this meeting, and he didn't want to do it. He said no. basically. He's like, well, I'll just let you know. And I was like, well, but I couldn't leave this. And he said, well, here's the deal. If I don't contact you by the 30th, which I'm sure I will, you can give me a call on the 30th or call me after that. I'm like, cool. Now, here's the last thing about this book a meeting from a meeting. Even if you get off the phone with someone and they do not book the meeting with you and you hang up and it's not appropriate to book the meeting, because that comes up all the time. Somebody says it's not, appropriate to book the meeting. What you want to do is at the very least you open up your own calendar and you schedule when you're going to get back in touch with this person. This is huge when it comes to a business like network marketing or any kind of lead where you have a lot of leads, because it just gets completely confusing and overwhelming about when you're going to follow up with someone. So at the very least, you decide. Because if they just go back into your leads list, now you just have this huge potential leads list and you haven't decided when you're going to follow up with them. So my recommendation is that you always choose when. So with that said, we're at 9 o'clock. I hear we just had a beep where maybe someone either dropped on or came back on the line.
No, my phone died, so I had to go to another phone. I lost the last 5 minutes. I'm glad you recorded it.
Well, we were just talking about booking a meeting from a meeting. So, the last thing is then, if you guys have any questions that you did not get to talk about on today's call, Robin and I are available to you. Why can't this? Email us at info@robinandtrevor.com. I was trying to write it here, but it didn't come out. Info@robinandtrevor.com with any of your questions, or you can do them on Facebook. And that includes if anybody's having technical difficulty with getting onto the website here.
Oh, yeah, that was a thing, I guess.
So, I sent the link out that's on the front of our page. That if you click that membership site page, it should take you to this. And when you sign up now, you should get the email, link with your password, because you'll be given a password that'll be sent to your email account. And when you get on the computer, it'll look like this when you get in. If anybody has any problem with that, please just email me and I can set up a time to share my screen. I can look at your computer and I can help you do that.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome, everybody. As far as homework, just please figure out your stages to the sale. Pick something. And just add to what you've got. And we've got a ton more content we want to share with you, but we're also hopefully coaching as we move along. So good night, everybody, and look forward to, I think we covered almost everything on this slide. On this, we're going to cover some new content on the next call, okay?
Thank you.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Trevor.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.